Welcome to the Quiet Truth, where lay Catholics wander through the ruins of the pro-life movement. I'm Tom Borak with episode 23, Pro-Choice, So What? Last time we discussed a charity, largely funded by pro-life Catholics, that tells pregnant women that they have a moral right to abort their babies. I explained in detail why that message is mortally sinful and why it tends to spread and strengthen pro-choice, pro-abortion beliefs. Today, we will consider the response of the pro-life bureaucracy, which in shortest form is, so what? Before sharing the complete response, let's review some of the main points that we covered. The subject of the video was our nation's largest chain of pregnancy assistance operations. Endorsed by the Catholic Diocese of Fort Wayne South Bend and its bishop, and collectively known as the Women's Care Center, these operations teach in public advertising and in private counseling sessions that abortion is a legitimate moral choice that ought never to be criticized, a teaching that is mortally sinful and, when associated with the Catholic Church, blasphemous, and provide ultrasounds, free counseling, and other goods and services to expectant mothers. I explained the organization's impact on the abortion debate as follows. Fourth, consider the fact that in terms of the battle for the minds and hearts of a nation over abortion, the center's activities are entirely pro-choice. They have no pro-life impact whatsoever. They advertise pro-choice, they counsel pro-choice, they teach and they convince women that they have the right to abort their child without guilt. At the same time, sure, the ultrasounds and the services that they provide make childbirth seem easier, less expensive, and less frightening. But the center reaches the conclusion that every time they persuade somebody that might be nice to have the baby and not to exercise their right to abort the child, that every time they do that, that mother has chosen life. She's undergone a pro-life conversion. But that's not true at all. What the center actually produces is not pro-life mothers, but pro-choice women with babies. In that video, I also called out Right to Life Michiana, the largest, best-funded pro-life advocacy group in the area. I pointed out that the Right to Life website refers women considering abortion to the Women's Care Center, where they will be taught to believe in choice. A few days after the video was published, I received this email from Jackie Appleman, Executive Director of Right to Life Michiana. Although Ms. Appleman is not a fan of the video, she did not deny the truthfulness of anything I had said. She just doesn't see it as a problem. Pro-choice advertising and counseling? So what? Let's try to understand this. She starts her argument by saying that the center's counselors, quote, do not send women to the abortion business, unquote. Okay, I've never said that the center sends women to abortionists. I said they produce pro-choicers with babies. Then she says that the center's counselors, quote, counsel women through a pregnancy plan to support them in their pregnancy and motherhood, unquote. I agree. Yes, they do. I think I already said that pretty clearly. Pro-choicers with babies. Does she deny that the center advertises itself as pro-choice? Not at all. Instead, she says that the center's, quote, client-facing website and advertising is very open and welcoming to ensure that all women, even those contemplating abortion, walk through their doors, unquote. So the two of us describe the client website differently. I call it pro-choice, She calls it open and welcoming. Is she contradicting me? No, not at all. A website can be both pro-choice and open and welcoming. In fact, the center's site is both pro-choice and open and welcoming. And as Ms. Appelman says, it was deliberately designed that way in order to attract women who might be more comfortable with a pro-choice message. And finally, does she deny that the center provides pro-choice counseling? That is, counseling that affirms that a woman has a moral right to abort her child based on her convenience without regard to the interests of the child. Nope. She doesn't seem to care about that at all. In fact, she concludes by saying that she would consider breaking relations with the Women's Care Center only if I could provide evidence that they are, quote, sending women to the abortion business, unquote. So, according to her, as long as they make no individual abortion referrals, there's no problem. So here we are, living at a time when many intelligent, generally well-educated people who recognize the moral horror of abortion still think it's a good idea to pretend to approve of it in order to make women receptive to what they think is a nonverbal pro-life message. So, pretend to be pro-choice to persuade people to become pro-life. But pretending to be pro-choice, that is, allowing people to believe that you have no moral objection to abortion, is the worst possible way to create and maintain a pro-life society. It is, in fact, the best possible way to establish, maintain, and strengthen abortion rights. Now, this confusion is the result of many foolish and evil messages from the secular culture. But rather than spend time on the errors, let's just clarify the truth. Let's begin with a pre-test. Question: how can we best persuade individuals and society to respect the right to life of unborn children? A, give more money to pregnant women. B, teach about the medical complications that can result from abortion. C, teach that fetuses are tiny human beings. Or D, something else. The answer is something else. Abortion is not caused by poverty, nor does it result from scientific or medical ignorance. It's a moral issue. And like all serious moral issues, it's about doing right when doing wrong is much easier. To encourage people to do right, we must help them to first distinguish between right and wrong actions. And second, to choose to do right even when it is difficult. For parents faced with an unplanned pregnancy and the imminent birth of an unwanted child, doing right means accepting their duty to protect and nurture an innocent unborn human being. Doing wrong means murdering the child. But murder is often the easier choice for two reasons. First, because caring for unwanted children is an expensive, time-consuming, and exhausting responsibility that can greatly impede the completion of your athletic, educational, career, social, romantic, or recreational goals. And second, because this particular kind of murder is cheap, legal, and socially acceptable, at least to over 100 million pro-choicers, and apparently to the pro-choice, pro-lifers over at the Women's Care Center. Under these circumstances, Only women with a strong moral sense and a willingness to unselfishly sacrifice their plans and desires for the benefit of an unwanted child will do the right thing. Accordingly, to achieve any kind of success, the pro-life anti-abortion forces must create and strengthen that strong moral sense in as many people as possible. Well, let's take another test. Imagine a 16-year-old female high school junior. She's popular, plays volleyball, and has sex with an immature and boring male classmate because that's what all her friends do. Her plan is to find a better boyfriend for senior year and prom, and then to meet the love of her life in college, graduate, marry, socialize with other stylish couples for a few years, get established in her career, and then think about having children in her early 30s. She's now learned that she is pregnant and she plans to have an abortion. What is she most likely to be thinking? A, I wouldn't have an abortion if someone could convince me that there's really a baby in my womb. Or B, I wouldn't have an abortion if somebody could just give me free parenting classes and a crib set. Or C, I wouldn't have an abortion if someone would tell me that it might give me an infection. Or D, I'm going to have an abortion because a baby would ruin my life and I have a right to control my body. Everybody says so. Now, if your answer was D, then you have a handle on the nature of the issue. And you're ready to leave pro-choice, pro-lifing behind and view episode 24, Opposing Abortion, a Nonsense-Free Approach. Thank you for your kind attention.
You shall